Welcome to another episode of the Colton and Drake Show. Your ideas, our opinions, and absolutely no guarantees that it will make any sense. I am Drake, and joining me, as always, is my good buddy Colton. Colton, how you doing, bud?
Oh, doing pretty good. Just great Monday. Enjoying this fantastic national championship. Enjoying our new hobby we'll touch on here in a little bit. Life's pretty good right now.
Yeah, it's just a shame that a good weekend of football has to be, bookended by this. It has to be stopped with this national championship game.
Right. It had some promise. It did. I really thought that we would see like a good solid game, but it's just part of sports. You just never know.
Notre Dame just, at the moment, we could see some miracle, or you will. I don't have it pulled up because my computer will move at the speed of smell if I try to pull it up. But Notre Dame just can't be as one-dimensional. You can't win a national championship when the only positive yardage you get is on the legs of your quarterback. Right. Not in today's game of football, anyways.
Yeah, especially when you gas him to the point of 13 rushes on the first drive, and he's literally crippling over in the end zone. He's so tired. Yeah. Like, okay, first drive down, do that the rest of the game. Win us this game.
First drive in, and you're having to take a timeout so your quarterback can get his win.
Right.
You realize there's 10 other guys on the field. You could hand it off, maybe. I don't know.
No, ISO. Yeah, just ISO the whole time.
Yeah. Well, on today's episode, we got a pretty good episode for you. We're going to introduce a new segment that we're going to try and keep alive for at least the foreseeable future. Both the topic and the idea for the segment both came from listener suggestions. So we will get to that. We're also going to discuss a little bit of NFL because in episode 2 we said we were going to talk about NCAA and NFL football, and then we got so dialed into NCAA that we failed to even mention the NFL after that.
And forgot to even circle back to it.
Yeah.
So.
But first, as Colton mentioned, we're going to open up with our new hobby. And by new, I mean as recent as the last calendar week. If you tuned in to our last stream on Twitch, we said we were recording episode 3. During the beginning, just chatting portion, Colton and I got on the topic of sports cards, and we both, just had our cards around. They were near our desks, and so we pulled them all out, and we started looking at our old cards and looking up how much they may be worth or how much they're not worth and which ones were our favorites and all this stuff. And since then, I feel comfortable saying that it has a chokehold on our life.
Absolutely. It legitimately feels like that. I want to go buy packs every day, but financially I know it's not smart, especially just to go buy cards, something we just started in the last week. But it's basically all I think about right now.
Yeah. I had a conversation with some guys today, and they were talking about how the money is not in opening packs. And it's not even in buying single cards and then trying to put them back up for auction. The money is in when a box comes out, right? So let's say, for example, the 2018, let's say Panini box. When that box comes out, the rookie class is Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, right? So you're trying to pull those rookie cards, right? You try to go get one of those. You try to go get a box of 2018 football cards right now, and they're going to be for a box of 6, going to be $200.
Yeah,
a box of 6 packs. And so they were saying that the higher tier card lines, sets of when Mahomes was a rookie is astronomical in price. But the thing is, you buy the box and don't sell the box or don't open the box at all. You just sell the whole box or
Oh.
wait till that box is worth something and then sell it. And that's how you make your actual coin. And I'm like, I don't have the self-discipline to do that.
I was just gonna say, there's no way I'm gonna buy something, let alone not open it at all and sell it to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would be okay with buying it and maybe possibly being able to wait to open it, but there's no way I can buy something like that and sell it to someone else without
Yeah.
looking inside that thing.
Yeah. That's where I look at it and I'm like, I'm not gonna make money off this.
Yeah.
I'll try to sell some stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'll try to make money off of it, but not to the point of like I'm gonna try and like cancel out my 9 to 5.
Yeah. Right.
Because I don't have the self discipline. Like I would literally have to get a safety deposit box and buy these things and go directly to the bank and leave it in the safety deposit box and then give the key to somebody else.
So you have zero.
So
access
I have
to
zero
it
control of it because otherwise I'm opening them 1000%.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not even the money aspect for it for me. I just like, I'm a huge mystery guy. So like, I like mystery boxes, and that's what it feels like. Like you open a pack, and you're like, am I going to get, and I'm also dabbling into the Pokemon side of it too. Just because I like how the cards look, not because I'm gonna pull some money. But like when you open the Pokemon packs, a lot of times it's just the normal cards, and you get like maybe a little shiny one. But when you get like a full art or something at the end, it's kind of exhilarating. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And even seeing the guys, you're like, oh, I think it's worth something. And then you scan, you're like, oh, it's not. But at least that little adrenaline rush of when you see it, you're like, ah, yeah.
Well, that's why I'm excited for. I ordered those ones I told you on Amazon.
Right.
These guys on Amazon have unopened packs from like the 80s and 90s in football and baseball, and they send you however many, whatever the equivalent in those packs is to 100 cards. They send you 100 cards for less than $15. And so like I'm excited. Like if I pulled some crazy rookie card, yeah, that'd be awesome. But if not, I'm just excited to be like to open packs and see guys that like were just coming out when I was a kid,
right?
And when I would have been this whole box of cards that we went through last Thursday, when I would have been buying those cards. And I'm still.
Yeah.
It takes me back to being a kid, literally being a kid again, because the ones I'm gonna open on Thursday, when they get here, will be like I was a kid, because those are those same players.
Those are the players. Yeah. It's kind of funny looking because through my binders, because I don't remember, like it was so long ago, like I don't remember getting them, and I know I didn't open those in packs. I got those at like a garage sale or something. And it's just funny because I have 2 binders for baseball specifically, and it just says like baseball 1979 to 1989, and then 1990 to 1999. Like how structured I was, but I had no clue what the hell I was looking at back then. And now I'm like, oh look, I organized them for older me. Thanks.
I wish that I was more like heads up when I was younger, because like I'm looking through these, and there's some of them that they're not gonna be worth a lot of money, but they might have been worth some money if they weren't beat to shit,
right?
Like,
yeah.
And at one point I think me and I think either my mom or my aunt went through and like organized them into the sets, but then like we didn't have this box that has the compartments and stuff in it at the time, so we were just putting them together, and like they were like rubber banded together, so like some of the cards you can see where the rubber band was at on them, and it's like, well, hopefully those were a sacrificial card,
Right. Yeah, when we were sitting here scanning them, I was like, some of the card conditions, like, please don't be worth anything, because if so, you're really not worth anything now.
yeah. Well, and that's the other thing is I like looking at them. Like one of my favorite cards is my favorite baseball player of all time that I've got, Andres Galarraga, just because being a Rockies first baseman when I was young, playing baseball, and playing first base, not all the time, but like wanted that to be my position, So Andres was my favorite player. I have a card of his in a top loader that it's maybe worth like 5 cents, but I don't care. I'm gonna keep it in a top loader
Right.
because it means something to me.
Yeah.
But the other piece, yeah, I don't remember. I got off on on tangent, and I don't remember what I was gonna say there. That's all right.
Hey, that happens. It happens.
Don't worry. It'll hit me about segment 3, and
Yeah,
I'll have
we'll
to
be
come back
talking
to
about our third topic, and you'll be like, "Oh, by the way,
yeah,
back in,
yeah,
yeah, that's what I meant to say."
exactly.
Hmm. But yeah, this process has been fun. It's just I didn't realize how many cards and how many like brands and like different types of packs and like the how big the card industry actually is, from Pokemon to baseball to football to hockey to
Yeah.
airplanes, I
Oh,
guess.
that's what I was gonna say was grading, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah.
like how the nitpickness of, if that's even a word, from a PSA 9 to a PSA
Mm-hmm.
10. Like a mint gem 10 graded card
Right.
to a 9 is like one corner has some tiniest bit of whitening on it.
Hmm.
And they're like, no, that's a 9.
That's
Yeah.
not good enough.
Like the border is everything else. You got crisp corners and edges and no surface defects, but the border is, it's 3 millimeters on this side and it's 4 millimeters on that side.
Right.
Like that's, I think it'd be cool to send some cards in and get them graded, but at the same time, I'd hate for them to come back and be like, yeah, it's a PSA 4.
4.
And it's,
Yeah.
and I grade and be like, yeah, I mean, that's got to be like a 7 or an 8, right? And it comes back and it's just like, you shouldn't have sent this to us. You wasted our time.
Yeah.
You owe us
Actually,
more money.
or they're like, here's some money for your charity
Yeah.
to help you with
We
your
will pay
cards.
you to never send us a card again, actually.
And I think that's another thing we're gonna maybe struggle with, is deciding like what's actually worth getting graded,
Yeah.
because like obviously we have these apps that we scan, but they're all different. Some
Mhm.
say it could change, like the other day, that our oldest Chapman card I pulled, I was like, dang, I hit it big. It was like $175 to $300. I was like,
Yeah.
oh. And then I scan on another one and it's like $7. I was like, oh, I mean, it's still good, but I mean,
Yeah.
it ain't what that guy has, but
Yeah, and part of that's the the parallels and stuff like that, where you may have the base card, but there's 17 parallels to that card
mm-hmm.
that is literally the same card, but one of them has a red outline and one has a green
Right.
outline, and one has a gold outline, but then it's shiny, and
Yeah.
and then one of those is the same card, but it's also got an autograph. One of those is the same card, but it also has an autograph and it's shiny. Like,
And it has a piece of jersey.
yeah,
And
yeah. So it's just it's fun. It's fun to learn something new and learn
Mhm.
about something new. It's also frustrating at times because you're like, I don't know. I think it's this way when you try to get into anything new. It's like you understand it. You're not
Right.
completely, inept. But then you talk to people that really understand it, and it's like they like like if I was to try and explain something to my 3-year-old,
Yeah.
I'm like I'm not 3. Like I get it. I get what you're saying. Like I don't know.
Are
It's
we
that
still
way
talking
when you
about the
do.
same thing here, or
Yeah,
what? Like
when you talk about, yeah, anytime you learn something new, I think it's that way when you get around other people that are. It's like don't gatekeep it. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
don't gatekeep something that you enjoy. Like try to bring more people in to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Nick, you hear that?
I wasn't even talking about Nick, to be quite honest
Well,
with you.
I know.
Like
It's just
we were
he knows like out of our friends, he knows what he's talking about.
yeah,
And when he talks, I'm just like,
yeah.
yeah, okay, I think I understand.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even talking about him. I was just talking like in general. Like you watch a YouTube video, right? So for example, a lot of the cards that I bought this week were Panini Score like the 2024 Panini Score set. I watched some dude open 4 boxes of that when it was like pre-release, I think. And he starts going through it and he's like, yeah, not a lot to see here. Like, but what do you expect when it's Score? It's like, well, not everybody is getting into it, with the intent of like, I'm going to pull some life altering card.
Right.
Because I'm going to be able to sell it for some crazy amount of money. Like, somebody may want to get into it for a hobby, and that's that's the box of cards that they can actually afford to buy.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's just, I don't know. I don't understand when people, because being somebody with ADHD, I start hobbies very easily. Now sticking with them is a bigger problem, but it bugs me to no end when people gatekeep their hobby.
Yeah.
It's like, just try to put information out there, but not in a douchebaggy way.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, I didn't have anything to say.
I would get. I think it's just crazy because when I would go to the game store the other day, I was like, oh, there's boxes down here. Like, they had actual like boxes. And then you get to reading it, and it's like 8 cards, autograph included, or at least one guaranteed, good card, and it's like $250. And I'm like, is like that card going to be worth $250? Because I need it to be. If not, like,
yeah. When I was searching on Amazon, I found those ones that I ordered, but I also found somewhere it was like, if you spend $50, like if you pay $50, they will send you a random like graded slab, right? Like a card that's in the protective covering.
It's already graded.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, that's not a bad idea if you really wanted to like start. I mean, it's random, but then you go look at I think it was like 3.5 stars or something rated on Amazon.
Right.
And you go look at it, and the picture that they show is like a Patrick Mahomes card, which if you have half a brain, you're not getting.
Right.
It's not that random.
Yeah.
But the reviews were like, some of the reviews that were negative were like, it sure would be nice if I got a card that was even worth the $50 that I paid for this. And the card that they showed was like a, oh dang it, what's the Kenny Pickens? Is that his name?
Oh yeah.
It was him. But it was like a PSA 6 or something like that. And it was graded. They were like, it sure would be. Now I got a $6 card and I paid $50 for it. And it's like, I enjoy a good mystery, but I think I'd be pissed off if I did that too.
Yeah, that's not much of a mystery. That's just me getting pissed.
Kenny Pickett? Kenny Pickett?
Pickett. And there's Kenny Pickett and George Pickens.
Yes.
I think you tried to
blended them. They both played for Pittsburgh at the same time.
Yeah, true. Very similar.
Yeah. Pickett's still playing.
He is, yeah. He's played
Philly.
He started the last game for Hurts when they knew they made the playoffs. He started the whole game.
That's wild. And they did a tush push, and I thought they were going to fold him in half.
I know.
His helmet got ripped off, and it was wild. Well, speaking of which, let's move into some NFL talk.
Let's do it.
So, wild year for you, your Chiefs.
Yeah.
Potentially, do you think that, let's say they didn't lose to Buffalo.
Okay.
And they make it to the final game playing Denver, but they know they've already got the number 1 seed. Are they knowing this group in Kansas City, they're an unselfish group, like, are they going for the Dolphins?
The perfect seasons?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't, mainly because a few of the players we rested were actually in, like, recovering, or is like, I don't know if we should play them just because they might not make it out of this game healthy to be able to play. So I still think, regardless if we're undefeated going to the Broncos game, I still think we rest the people we do, and I still think Denver kicks the absolute shit out of us.
Well, Denver turned it on, I think, at the right time. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
them making the playoffs, and I'm hoping that that continues. Not to say anything about you Chiefs guys, but I did pull a handful of these, so I'm hoping that's a Bo Nix rookie card. I'm hoping that his, he can continue to climb. But yeah, I've been thinking about that, because there's a lot of talk about the three-peat, and that they had the potential to be an undefeated team, and I don't know. I don't want them to be an undefeated team. Very candidly,
Right.
I'm not trying to talk trash, but at the same time, I want somebody to be undefeated so we stop having to hear about the Dolphins. Like, what is that, the 75 Dolphins or whatever?
Forever
with Mercury
ago.
Morris. And I'm not going to speak ill on the dude because I'm pretty sure he just passed away not that long ago. But I just got so sick of hearing about when a team wouldn't go, like when the last undefeated team would lose, whoever was still alive from the 75 team would like get together and toast champagne, and Mercury Morris would always say something along the lines of, "We're just waiting for our bride."
Yeah,
and
right.
I'm just like, somebody please knock
just
them
do it.
off, please, because deep down in your heart, Mercury, that the Patriots did what you did.
True.
They went 19-1. They didn't lose for 19 straight games, and then they lost in the Super Bowl. So they did what you did. They just didn't win the Super Bowl. But if they played in 1975, the Super Bowl would have been over for 3 weeks.
It would have been. They would have been.
Yeah. So
it's just different time.
Off that soapbox.
Yeah, back to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of ironic though, because my Chiefs are going against. I know you don't claim a team, but I think if there was a team that you claimed, the Bills would be your team.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is that for a long time, okay, we'll do a little dive here, and people can call me, bandwagon or whatever. But when I was in junior high, I grew up a Broncos fan because living in that part of the country, family was Broncos fans. I remember vividly both Super Bowls that they won back to back, and I'm decked out in Broncos gear. But I started to think about it. Like it was probably sometime around 2000, I think, maybe even 2001, the summer of. I was just like, the only reason I like the Broncos is because like my grandparents like the Broncos,
right.
So I remember being at my grandmother's house and watching NFL, like a documentary on NFL films or something like that, and it was like a whole documentary on the history of the New England Patriots and how awful they were at that given time, right? And so it was July, maybe August, and I remember like telling my grandmother, like, the Patriots are my new team. Like, I'm all in on the Patriots. And so that whole season pulled for the Patriots. Just so happened that in September of that season is when Tom Brady got his first start for a hurt Drew Bledsoe. And then they go on to win the Super Bowl and then go on this tear that they went on. And I'll be honest with you, progressively throughout that 20-year season or 20-year period, because I was all in for probably 10 years, right? Like I remember sitting by myself watching them lose to the New York Giants, just being crushed, right?
Yep.
But I would say over the 20 years of that dynasty, I progressively got less interested.
Okay.
To the point where when Brady decided to step away, I still paid attention to if they win or lose. I still
Mm-hmm.
like in most games pulled for them to win, but I wouldn't have called myself a Patriots fan.
Right.
Now I've got to the point now. I've wised up in my old age, if you can't see in my beard. But I'm I'm a Wyoming guy, so I've
Mm-hmm.
decided that I pull for teams that have Wyoming Cowboys in the roster. Now, if I was a Oklahoma guy or I was an Alabama guy, that'd be a very difficult task.
Right.
But I'm not. I'm a
You'd be cheering
Wyoming
for
guy.
all the
So
teams.
I've got like 6 teams that I pull for. You know, I've got Josh Allen with the Bills, Logan Wilson with the Bengals, Andrew Wingard with the Jags. I think Chad Muma's still with the Jags too. And there's a handful of other guys like Marcus Epps and a few others that Carl Granderson is at the Saints. But Marcus Epps, I think he was on Philly. Then I think I saw him maybe on the Raiders. I don't know. But I try to keep tabs on where these guys from Wyoming that actually get drafted or get undrafted free agents end up
Mm-hmm.
playing, and then I pull for those teams. So
Right.
I also try to get jerseys of guys that went to Wyoming and then played. So I've got a Josh Allen Bills jersey, a Logan Wilson Bengals jersey, and then this year for Christmas I got a teal Andrew Wingard Jags jersey. So little bit of a backstory on me. For about a 20-year period, I was the person that everybody hated
Mm-hmm.
because I,
Yep.
was the bandwagon jumper. But I didn't care. I didn't just jump on the bandwagon. I drove that sumbitch.
Yeah. Say all the time I knew you. I knew you were a Brady fan. Um, so I'd always give him crap when we worked together about all these old Patriots and his Brady's and how Brady created Mahomes, how Mahomes is acting like Brady. It's just been a whole big deal. So
Yeah. Eh, I think that brings up a good point with the like Mahomes and Brady and the let's say the refs, right? There's a
mm-hmm.
big thing on going around now that the refs are winning games for the Chiefs. I won't say that I agree with that, but I will say that I think a lot of Chiefs fans are feeling what they put out towards the Patriots for 20 years.
Absolutely. And it's funny you said that because I was talking to one of my students the other day in the AT room, and I was like, I completely understand where all of these Patriots fans are coming from because we are getting the blunt of it as well. And so it was just like a full circle moment because I was one of those guys too.
Yeah.
Patriots, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, Brady's
And
all this, that.
not I'll be 100% honest with you. There was definitely some sketchy stuff that went down in that, right? But like
Right.
at the same time, there was a lot of things that sketchy stuff that happened with other teams, but you didn't hear about, right? Like
Right. Yep.
there is rule. So let's take Spygate for example.
Mm-hmm.
There's rules that say you can film another team's sideline.
Right.
You just can't do it from where the Patriots filmed the sideline.
Okay.
Like the vantage point they were filming from.
Yeah. Right.
There are explicit rules you cannot film another team's practice.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been teams, and I'm pretty sure that the Broncos is one of them, that in that time frame around when Spygate happened, that the Broncos got in trouble for filming another team's practice. But nobody talks about it.
But you didn't hear about
There's
it.
a whole
You didn't hear about
there's
it.
a whole website called like yourteamcheats.com, and it shows
Yeah.
every infraction, like major to minor, that every team's had in like the last however long you pick.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is that for that 20-year period, the Patriots were like the middle of the line.
But it's all you heard about.
Yeah, they're the only ones you heard about. And so, like, to think about right now with the refs, okay? So I did see somebody put out a thing about the Bills, or not the Bills, the Chiefs are like one of the most penalized teams in the NFL. Okay. Pause. Take away Jawan Taylor. If you take away Jawan
But I
Taylor,
can't.
how
I
many?
can't.
No, but that's what I'm. If you take away Jawan Taylor, are they still one of the most penalized teams because he can't stop, but can't
Well,
not
I
hold
mean,
and can't not jump false start? So
right.
two, if you take away Jawan Taylor, and then the other thing is, to me, it's not the amount of penalties, it's when they come, when they happen.
Yeah.
That
Right.
to me is a bigger. If it is a major pivotal moment in a game, potential momentum shifting play. When a penalty is thrown on one of those plays, which way do they usually fall in a Chiefs game?
I mean, yeah,
They
it's
typically
usually
fall in a
towards
Chiefs.
us.
And that is not me saying, because if you watch a Bills game, the same thing happens for the Bills
Mm-hmm.
because they're the good teams.
Yes.
Officials are human. They are going to like lean towards giving the better teams the calls. Even if they try not to, it's going to happen. They're human.
Right.
That's my personal opinion. Could be wrong. I don't care. But that's the opinion I've developed over the last 20 years of watching the NFL is that the good teams are going to get the call in a pivotal moment when it happens. And so that's my thing to Chiefs fans that are all over Facebook right now saying like, you know, the Bills are what people say the Chiefs are because the Chiefs get penalized so much. Yeah, you remove one guy from the Chiefs and you maybe aren't penalized as much. And two, when do the penalties happen?
Yeah.
That just some self-examination.
The only thing I will say about the Chiefs and the penalties, and mainly because when they occur, but a lot of the times we're trying to get those penalties, so they do that stuff on like we underthrow the receiver on purpose, so we go up against into them. That's all on purpose, and I guarantee if the other teams would do that in our situation, but most of the time we're the ones in that situation to get those calls.
Right.
Like if the score was flipped, if the teams were flipped, would the other team try to do that? I would hope so because it would be that's a smart thing to do.
Right.
But I think that's why we do get all of those calls is because one, we try to get those calls, and two, we're in the situation to get those calls to benefit us.
Yeah.
But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. No. I think it's using the rules to your advantage. I mean,
Right.
depending on who you ask, that's what New England did for 20 years.
Right.
You know, like I forget exactly what happened, but Vrabel, like they've since changed the rule. But Vrabel said him and like when he played and then when he was at Tennessee, they used to do something on like either field goals to get false starts or something like that was totally within the rules. Oh, something like if they were coming off of a timeout or something like that before a field goal, say you ice the kicker. Well, you can't call back-to-back timeouts, I guess. So, like, knowing that, they would stand up and call a timeout. But the refs wouldn't pay any attention to it because they'd ice the kicker. Then somebody would stand up and be like, timeout. The refs wouldn't pay attention to it because they can't call a timeout. And so, but the O-line would hear somebody call timeout. So then they'd like stand up and get a false start.
Yeah.
And so now it's like you get a penalty if you call a timeout, try to call a second timeout in a row. But like is it shady? Yeah. Well, so is throwing up a Hail Mary pass that you know is going to draw some sort of PI.
Right.
You know, for a 60-yard penalty. You know, like so I agree. It's playing the rules to your advantage. It's gamesmanship.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah. And the flopping guys out there, trust me, I know Patrick Mahomes flops just like LeBron does. Okay. I'm not one of those Chiefs fans that is just like so deluded about my mind with the Chiefs that it's just like I know the sport of football. So like I know he flops. Okay. And don't compare Jared Goff's non-penalty, which it should have been a penalty, but don't compare that to his Patrick Mahomes penalty he got because one, Jared Goff threw an interception, therefore he turns into a defender, so you can block him. It was a penalty because he hit him with the crown of his helmet and his face mask, but those are two different penalties. I saw that comparison the other day. It's like, well, why didn't he? He threw an interception. It's just different. Okay.
Yeah, and I guess since we're on the path of being open and honest about our teams, I guess I think Josh Allen bitches to the refs too much. I agree. Now, however, I do think that prior to this year, because here's an interesting thing I feel like. One, don't let me forget about this. I'm going to come back to Patrick Mahomes scrambling in a minute. Don't let me forget about that. But prior to this year, Josh Allen has played football like a running back that can throw, right? Like what everyone said that Lamar Jackson is how Josh Allen's played prior to this year, right?
Right.
Which included running people over.
Yes.
So he shouldn't get the calls when he's the one initiating contact. This year, and just so happens, ironically, it's the year that he could win MVP. He's decided to play the game. And by that, I mean play the ref game.
Right.
I'm not going to initiate the contact. I'm going to stand back there and be a quarterback. And when I get hit, I'm going to go down. I'm going to look at the official like, hey, what's this about? And I'm going to get the call.
Right.
I don't like it, but it is what it is. And I've watched Mahomes do the same thing since, I wouldn't say 2018, but 2019, 2020 since. He does the same thing. So to me, it's like Josh is finally, 7 years in, is finally learning how to play the game inside the game.
Right. Yeah.
And part of that is manipulating the refs. Now, I didn't hear the whole thing where I did see the ref come to the sideline, but was that mic'd up? Did anyone get the actual mic?
I haven't heard it if it was.
Because I saw people saying that, well, Patrick Mahomes doesn't get this, and the official comes over. I don't want to hear anybody say anything about Patrick Mahomes. Officials coming to the sideline to apologize they didn't make a call. And unless it's mic'd up, then I feel like that's a grand assumption, because they asked Josh about it at a press conference afterwards, and they were like, he was yeah, he was coming over to tell me like that's not how we're going to communicate to each other. He's like, because I was screaming on the side or on the field. Yeah. Now, if it's mic'd up and he actually came over and apologized for not making a call,
right,
I'll retract my statement.
Then okay,
right, yeah. But like from what Josh Allen said at the press conference was, he was telling him that that's not how they're going to communicate to each other,
right,
for a missed holding penalty in the end zone.
Yeah,
but yeah, back to Mahomes scrambling.
Yes.
This is probably the thing that drives me the most insane, right? Currently in football. Mahomes scrambles, particularly late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And one time I can think of is when they almost lost to Carolina. Late in the game, he scrambles, and I think he got a first down, but it should have been like right past the first down. He gets to the sideline and tiptoes like he's going to go out. And then
goes up the sideline.
And then as soon as the defender kind of lets up for even a second, he takes off up the sideline. Mm-hmm. And like, I get it, it's some gamesmanship there, but like if the defender takes him out on the sideline, I mean, we watched one defender, whoever hurt Trevor Lawrence, get suspended for like 3 games for it. And that was in the middle of the field. So if somebody tees off on Patrick Mahomes on the sideline because they don't slow up when they assume he's going to go out of bounds,
right?
Like I get it. It's the same thing. It's gamesmanship, but at the same time, we were all pissed off when Kenny Pickett did it in college when he fake slid. Which, by the way, is a mastermind move. Yeah. I've never once thought about in my entire life and I played quarterback in high school, never once thought about, fake slide and get somebody to like pull up.
Oh, they're going to
no shot.
Yeah.
Never would have even crossed my mind. Nor would I have been able to he's had to practice that. Like I couldn't think of like how I'm going to lean back while running to then look like I'm going to slide, but then kick it back up into gear again.
Yeah, it looks natural when he does it.
Yeah,
you're like, he's done this before.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was.
But
was wild.
To circle back about the Patrick Mahomes thing, I totally agree because as a defender in college, it's like, how do you play that? Like, how are you supposed to play that? Because it's either, you're right, you're smacking through him, getting a penalty, or he's going to tiptoe down the sideline. So that irritates me. Obviously, when it happens and we get yards and stuff, I'm like, okay. But like when it happens against you, you're like, okay, there needs to be something that need to be said. It should, honestly, in my opinion, it should be like a slide. If you start the action of a slide, if you start to motion, you're going to go out of bounds. That's where you're going to be out. If they continue to let this happen.
Well, and maybe let it go like they did last night when was it Ed Oliver tackled Lamar on the sideline.
Oh,
the contact, he initiated contact as they were going out of bounds, and he finished the tackle. Right. And so in the case that Mahomes tries to go up the sideline and it appears he's going to tiptoe out of bounds, then if you hit him and he, like, as you're hitting him, steps out of bounds, like, don't throw a flag on me. Like, the contact was initiated either inbounds or as he was going out of bounds. Let it play through. And I don't think that has been the case, because otherwise guys would not be afraid to hit him.
Yeah, no.
There's a reason why they're not.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're lazy. Yeah, I don't know. But, you know, it's not just, it hasn't happened just to Carolina. I feel like I watched him do it when they played.
He's done it.
Didn't they play Houston in the regular season? And he did it to them too.
Yeah. He's done it all season. Like, he does it all season.
Yeah.
And why? Because he did it once, got away with it. Yeah. I'm going to adapt to it. I'm going to do it. It's going to help my team win. So,
yeah, you just got to find one, you know, like fourth string linebacker that rarely gets, he's a special teams guy, put him out there, let him tee off on him one time, and then don't play him the rest of the game. And then the rest of the guys on the team pay his fine.
Right.
No, I'm not here. This is not Bounty Gate. I'm not here to try and, I don't want to see anyone get hurt. All right. I just want to see good football.
I want to see football be football again.
And then I want to see good football and avoid social media afterwards. So I don't have to read other people's opinions on it.
Right. Was that in our Discord? Someone sent the video of Tom Brady, or did I just see that on my own?
You might have saw it. I think you saw it on your own.
Where it was Tom Brady getting absolutely head-to-head, helmet falling off, not a flag in sight, puts his helmet back on, plays the next play.
Oh, yeah, one.
Where's that at?
Yeah. What was that a guy? It was either the Bills or the Jets. That dude smoked him.
Yeah.
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 Now,
no flag?
There's not, I don't know that there's a quarterback. Maybe Kirk Cousins. Like, think of a quarterback, right? Like, thinking of that clip, because I know exactly what clip you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking of that clip, can you think of any quarterback in the NFL right now that runs that slow?
Aaron Rodgers.
True. Forgot about
right now, Deshaun Watson.
Like,
Achilles again.
I just the way the game's changed, because then when he was playing, you had a handful of quarterbacks that were that way. Phillip Rivers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady,
Ryan.
Yeah, like Matt Ryan. Yeah. Like, none of them were really. I mean, they were mobile because they didn't get sacked a ton, but when they took off and ran, it was like stuck in mud.
Right.
And you just don't, like, every quarterback in the NFL right now, like starting quarterback, I feel like has some ability to move.
To be mobile, yeah.
To run.
Absolutely.
Like, there's some threat of them running.
Yeah. I would say the only two would be Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation. Phillip Rivers in 2 conversations today since we turned stream on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
By the way, little housekeeping, 40 minutes into this thing. If you're not already, make sure you're subscribing. Drop us a like, a follow, a rate, review, whatever it is on your platform. We would appreciate it. You can also follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube, and over on Twitch at Colton and Drake. We'd appreciate, any and all feedback. We're, like we said, we want this thing to be something for the listeners. So we're here for you guys. Make sure to head over to Instagram and comment any suggestions you have for the show. And speaking of suggestions, unless do you have more to say on this wild NFL season that we are 3 weeks away from being done with?
Yeah. Like I just said, huge Chiefs fans, but I think this is one Super Bowl that, like, if we don't win, I'm okay, because the Bills, I would be okay with seeing the Bills win it, and the Commanders. I don't want the Eagles to win, so I'm really hoping the Commanders can beat the Eagles. But I think this is the first time, like, there's like 3 teams I'd be okay with winning the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah,
so that's the last thing.
I think start of the playoffs, my number one matchup I wanted to see was Bills Lions.
Yeah.
But now if the Bills don't win it, I'm all in on Washington. So
yeah,
and the Bills have to play Kansas City after Washington and Philly. So I guess I better be all in on Washington right now.
Yep.
Because otherwise I may miss my chance. I'm sure we will do some more talking NFL throughout the next few episodes and all postseason, because I think you, like me, are a big off-season movement guy, like who's going where. Like, to me,
absolutely,
that's almost more entertaining than half the season.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love watching that. I love watching like the combine. I love watching the pre-draft, all that stuff. Like, yeah, I keep track of football year round.
Yeah, and that plays well into our new little hobby here.
Yes,
with sports cards. But to move on to the suggestions portion, we've had our fun. We've talked about what we want to talk about. Let's get to some of the stuff you guys suggested. And today we're going to premiere a new segment that we'll probably start doing maybe a little earlier in the show. But over on Instagram, we put out a kind of a call for suggestions, call for topics, and we had 2 that we thought we could maybe mesh together a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
My beautiful wife suggested that we do, some of her podcasts she listens to, they do like the Grade 8 or the Final 4 or whatever. Essentially, it's a top 10 lineup, but it's a different number, right? Of whatever the segment is or whatever the suggested topic is. So here, to try and stick with, our football roots and our sports themes, we're going to do what we're going to call the Pick 6. And so it's 3 picks for each person, our top 3s on whatever the topic is. And for today, like I said, my wife suggested that we do some sort of top theme. And for today, her friend Melissa suggested that we do Disney Channel original movies. And me and you both have watched them a lot, but also come from very different eras of Disney Channel original movies. So,
right.
What do you think? We got to go 3 down to 1. We'll go back and forth. But
I say 3, 2, 2, and then 1, 1. Yeah.
Do you have, before we get to that, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yes, I actually got 3 I'd say 2 honorable mentions. One was just kind of a fill-in. Honorable mention number 1 would be Cadet Kelly. I watched it a lot. I wouldn't say as religious as the other ones, but it was always a good one just to kind of throw on in the background that I remember.
That doesn't have anything to do with Hillary Duff being in it, did it?
Nope.
No comment.
And then my other honorable mention would be the Even Stevens movie.
I think I might have watched that like once, but I don't know that I ever watched. I watched a lot of Even Stevens, like the TV show, but I don't remember watching the movie.
Yeah, it was like they're like lost in a jungle. Like they went on this vacation, and the kids get lost in a jungle, and they try to find each other. It's been a while since I watched it, but I do remember that because what the main girl's name, I don't remember, but she's like on her knee, like Tarzan, just la, 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 like doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I have a couple as well for honorable mention, but before I get into those, I had to go look up some of them because I was like, there's going to be one that I love that I'm going to forget, right?
Right.
But I saw that before it was Disney Channel original movies, it was like Disney Channel featured films or something like that. So they
Mm-hmm.
still had original movies all the way back to like the 70s or something like that.
Oh,
But
okay.
I think three of the last four, I actually remember watching them as they came out, and they're all. I know two of them are on Disney Plus, so and they're worth a
Okay.
watch. One is Susie Q, which is
Okay.
the Pink Power Ranger.
Yes.
She, Amy Jo Johnson, she plays this girl that like died on prom night in like a car crash or something like that. But
Okay.
then somehow she starts like haunting this like high school boy. I don't remember exactly the whole plot, but it's an interesting show, at least from what I
Okay.
remember. It's been a long time ago. And then another one. This one is not on Disney Plus, I don't think, but it's called The Paper Brigade. And so this guy, new to like almost all Disney Channel original movies, the kid's new in town,
Mm-hmm.
and so he's getting picked on and all this stuff, but he tries to like he finds this girl that he likes, and so he wants to like take her to some maybe concert or something, but he needs to make money,
Mm-hmm.
and so he starts doing a paper route. Well, in doing so, he gets in with like the nerds, and they're getting like picked on by the bullies, and they have like a tree house and stuff like that, and it turns into
Mm-hmm.
like an all out warfare with the bullies. It's good. And then the last one's Wish Upon a Star, and
Mm.
it is kind of almost like a Freaky Friday type deal. One sister's like the messy sister, the other one's like the popular and like real stereotypical high school 90s girl.
Right.
And they wish on a star at the same time to basically I think that their sister would know what it's like to be them, and then
Mm.
they like switch, and then they have to figure out how to get back. So it's interesting. It's worth a watch, but I just thought it was because it was like I just assumed it was a Disney Channel original movie. I didn't realize it had a whole different name.
Right.
My
Yeah.
honorable mentions real quick though, and you may have some of these as yours. Halloween Town, Luck of the Irish, and Smart House, and Horse Sense. So
Mm.
some of
Yes.
those you may touch on, but I will let you start with your
Okay.
number 3 best Disney Channel original movie.
Okay. Number 3. Honestly, could be number 1, but it's kind of a series. Obviously, number 1's the best one. It's a whole movie series, kind of. But number 3 for me is High School Musical. I'm a huge sing along musical. I love to I'm very bad at it, but I love to sing. And I remember High School Musical coming out, and I probably watched High School Musical 200 times, something like that. But yeah, number 3 for me is High School Musical.
We talked about this a little bit. I have never seen it.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah,
to think.
because I'm pretty sure that my wife likes it, which is also wild. That like, because I'm with you. I like some musicals.
Mm-hmm.
I like musicals when there's talk, like when in scene it's just you're talking,
Right.
and then there's a song. Even though I have to suspend disbelief because I'm like, who just breaks out into song in a really serious moment. But anyways, the ones that I can't stand is where they sing conversationally.
Yeah.
Like that
Back and forth.
but it's like, why are we having a conversation in song when you could just talk?
Right.
But I haven't seen it. Actually, I was trying to think about, because when we talked about this earlier and you said, you brought up High School Musical, and I said I hadn't seen it. I think the first movie I remember Zac Efron, like me seeing Zac Efron in, I think was Neighbors.
Really?
Yeah, and I can't tell you what he was in before that, other than High School Musical.
Oh, the one where he was going from one age to like 17 going on. I don't know. There's one where he's an age and then goes to a different age.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Oh, what the heck was the name of that movie?
But like since
17 again.
17 again.
That's what it is.
But since like since Neighbors, like I've watched like all of his stuff. but it was just leading up to that. I had no clue. I knew he was in High School Musical, but I just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't something that. Anyways, my number three. I honest to God, I know it's a pick three, but I can't choose between these two. So I have a tie at three
Okay.
between Alley Cat Strike and Phantom at the Megaplex. So Alley Cat Strike, if you are around my age, you know this movie. We've all tried to get a 7-10 split the way that the little girl gets a 7-10 split at the end of the movie. Like, put your finger in it and you spin it and then just send it down the lane and it,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right? Great movie. This jock gets in with, these kids that love bowling, and they have like a crosstown rivalry in I think Appleton, Wisconsin, or something like that, and they
Mm-hmm.
face off against the crosstown rivals for the Apple Cup or something like that, the Mighty Apple. But anyways,
Right.
it comes down to bowling, and this kid that's like the jock, his dad I think might be the principal, joins the team, and or is kind of like forcefully joins the team, and just good, typical Disney Channel original movie, good, values and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
check it out, Alley Cat Strike. And then Phantom at the Megaplex. I mean, it's got Mickey Rooney in it, so that should tell you enough if you're a film buff
Ah.
at all. But essentially, they have this giant movie theater that's having its grand opening, and things start going awry in all of the theaters. So something goes wrong in each individual movie theater that is somewhat themed around whatever the movie is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this kid that works there and his two siblings, who his siblings are obsessed with movies. He's so, but he's working there, and he's like, I don't know, maybe assistant manager or something. And they have to try and figure out who's trying to sabotage this grand opening of the Megaplex. So,
Mm.
yeah, Alley Cat Strike and Phantom at the Megaplex. I do believe both of those are on Disney Plus, so check it out if you haven't seen them.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go watch those because so far I haven't heard of any of the ones you've mentioned.
Like I said,
Besides, well, yeah,
very different eras of
very
Disney
different.
Channel original movies.
Okay, my number two, my runner-up. Between my one and two, it was tough, um, because one, the main character is the same in the both, but I didn't realize that until a little bit ago. But my number two is Smart House.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen it, I don't know what you're doing. I don't care if you were around our age, like
Mm-hmm.
anywhere between our gap, you know you've seen it. But this dad, and I think it's his dad and a son and daughter. They get gifted this house, and it has like a. It's kind of funny to think about now. It's an AI generated house.
Yeah.
Well, now we're in the
Mm-hmm.
time era of AI, but basically they get this gifted this house. They won some. I don't know, I think it was a contest or something, if I remember right. I don't remember exactly what they won, but the house, it has this built-in AI program that helps them do anything around the house, but then it tries to become more of like a mom, and it gets overly aggressive. And I loved Smart House growing up. I probably watched anytime I remember it was on TV. I sat down and watched it, and it might be because back then Katie Seagal was pretty hot as a mom too. So
Yeah, it's interesting. One, Ryan Merriman is the lead actor in that, and he
right.
is probably, I mean, outside of the Zac Efrons that launched their career or whatever, but people that
Mm-hmm.
just did Disney Channel original movies, because I think he had two or three more than the ones
Right.
that you're talking about. I don't know that somebody's benefited as much from just those movies career wise as he has,
I wouldn't think so.
because
I
he
mean,
has been in at least four of them.
at least my top two. I'll
Yeah,
tell you that.
yeah.
He's been
But I would also say it's interesting because you brought up Katie Seagal, because Katie Seagal
Mhm.
plays the house essentially. She's the voice of the
Yes.
house, and then she actually generates a holograph or something like that of herself
Right.
in the house. But to what did you ever watch Married with Children?
I don't think
It was a
so.
TV show, and it had Ed O'Neill and Katie Seagal, and they were just stereotypical like Chicago suburban family. I
Okay.
think it was Chicago. Christina Applegate was their daughter. I don't know what their who played their son, but she was a very like just kind of a ditzy housewife in the and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if ditzy's a not an okay word to say anymore. Who knows? But that's what
I think it's
essentially
fine.
what she was. And then to see her go from that, and it's just kind of that they were spread out in good enough time to go from that to then play like the house mom that like gets maybe too aggressive and locking
Mm-hmm.
people in the house to
Right.
Gemma from Sons of Anarchy. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like
Right. Right.
the transition from sweet kind of ditzy housewife to overly aggressive AI mom to she will murder you.
Yes, she will kill
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that's awesome.
Uh,
My runner up is Johnny Tsunami.
okay. Yeah.
Have you watched this one?
I have seen this one.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So Johnny Tsunami, he is a grandson of a Hawaii surfing champion, and his parents move him all the way across the country to ski country in Vermont, and he tries to, again, it goes back to the same thing I said with most Disney Channel movies. He's the new kid trying to learn how to fit
Mm-hmm.
in. I think that's part of the reason why this resonated with me because it happened around the time that I moved to a new school and just trying to fit
Oh
in
yeah.
and
Right.
yeah. So he then I haven't watched it in a long time though, so I think there's some sort of a competition and he actually ends up winning it. But yeah, it's
Yep.
really good. Another character from that that has benefited wildly from these types of movies is Kirsten Storms. She does the Xen. She was Xenon.
Xenon. Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So she was in this movie. So was the guy that played Jet Jackson, who I don't believe is with us anymore.
Mm,
I believe he might
not
have
sure.
taken his own life. But anyways, not to get too
Mm,
overly sad, but yeah, Johnny Tsunami, number 2, runner up.
okay. My number one, the GOAT, the champion of all champions. I got a red beard, I got a little red hair. My birthday's in March. Give me Lucky the Irish. I remember watching this so many times growing up, and I think it was just the thrill of like seeing a kid, trying to chase after. It was a gold charm, right? Yeah, it was like a little
Yeah,
gold charm he was trying to get to restore his family heritage, so this evil leprechaun like could stop messing with him, basically.
yeah.
And
And
it was
didn't his
just
grandpa like shrink to like the size
yeah,
of
yeah,
a
like he shrunk
leprechaun?
like
Yeah,
really small. Yeah, and I think it was just like the thrill of him like going through trying to get like this coin, the leprechaun. I used to be called leprechaun, still sometimes do. I think it just hit home. But yeah, I love that movie. I still actually I haven't watched it in a while. Probably should need to rewatch it so I can love it again.
yeah.
But yeah, number one, Lucky the Irish.
That was my goal, was to actually go through and watch like my top 5 before we did
Yeah,
this, so that I could be a little more educated in my selections, and it just didn't happen.
right.
Um, my number 1, my grand champion, is Brink. I don't know if you've seen Brink. It is about a kid that loves to rollerblade, and he gets in with he has a group of friends that they just love to rollerblade. I think they might live like on the at the beach or somewhere in California, right, where that would be something big that you do.
Mm-hmm.
So they just love to rollerblade, and then like family gets in financial trouble or something like that, or he hears mom and dad talking about financial trouble, so he gets in with this group at his school, the group of bullies at his school that are like a sponsored inline skating team, right? And so they they do all the downhill, they do the vert or the half pipe or whatever, those types of competitions, big air. And so he gets in with them. He's doing competitions. He's making money, but he's ending up kind of being a sellout to his friends that he's grown up with or whatever. So he becomes the bad guy for a little bit, and then he decides to have a change of heart, and they have there's a competition that he decides to enter with his friends, and they end up going up against the guys that he was teammates with, and they end up winning it, getting the prize money, helping his family with financial trouble or whatever. But just something about the underdog story that has somebody has had a change of heart, that they come back around to do what's right. Something just hits a soft spot, especially when you're a young kid, and then you go back and look at it and remember those. And I think most of the ones that we've mentioned are on Disney Plus, so I really do think I'm gonna have to go back and watch most of these. But
yeah. And who'd you say suggested this again?
Melissa, Make a Scene, at Make a Scene on Instagram.
Melissa, that was a great question. Mainly because it made me think about things I haven't thought about and live through those movies I haven't thought about for a while.
Dude, I can't tell you how many times, even into high school, when I would, or maybe even, probably some college, if one of these came on and I was at home, I'd have watched it. And it was just like mindlessly putting it on and then cleaning my room or whatever, and then getting lost and sitting down, locked into watching Andy Brinker when Team Pup and Suds beats X Blades, I think was the other team. Just getting locked into that for 2 hours instead of cleaning my room.
Yeah. While we were going through that, I have one question for you, Colin. I'm following that. You can just be right off the top of the head. You don't need much just description or why. Do you have any movies, Disney original movies, that come to your mind that you absolutely do not like? I'll give you some time to think, because I can think of
you give me
2 to 3 just off the top of my head. Okay. Lemonade Mouth and Camp Rock. And the reason I say these is because it was about the time, it was the age gap between me and my sister. She started to really watch Disney, and I was forced to sit on the couch while there's football going on, while there's baseball going on, while there's basketball going on, and watching these movies. And it was a Disney original. And you're like, oh, it'll be good. No, it wasn't compared to what I used to watch. Lemonade Mouth and Camp Rock, 1, 2, 3, however many of them. Anytime those came on, I hated it. They may have been good, but I just hated it.
So I
did not like it.
I've heard of Camp Rock. I've never watched it. And I've never even heard of Lemonade Mouth.
Oh, well, but I wouldn't.
One that bugs me to no end is it's called Double Teamed. And I'm going through a list because I had to look some of them up because I know that. But Double Teamed is about these twins that play basketball, and one gets hurt, I think, maybe. And what bugs me about it is all of these have just awful athletics in them, right? Any of them that are athletic inclined, it's always just awful. But this one was even more so. Their special play, she gets up there, they pass her the ball, and she just starts moving the ball back and forth like this. Gosh. And they show her feet, and her feet are she's doing ankle pumps on it. And I'm like, travel? I just wanted to be would this be a travel? I don't know. It was, and then she just after doing that in slow motion for 15 seconds, she hard jab steps, and then I just screwed up my audio, but she hard jab steps and then just takes her to the hole. And I was like, that was the setup for the entire. Yeah. So I would say Double Teamed for sure. And then I don't know. There's some that I watched that I watched too many times, but I still watched it every time it came on, like Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire.
Yeah.
Or Under Wraps. Those ones, I didn't really like, but I watched them if they came on.
Right.
Another good one, Up and Away. Did you ever watch that? Family of Superheroes, and it had the redheaded guy from Entourage.
Yeah.
He was in it, and he was like the bad guy. And superheroes, like, their kryptonite was aluminum foil.
Oh.
And like the kid, like one of the boys on the family of superheroes didn't have any powers. And so like, but he was forced to save his family of superhero parents and stuff that were being held with. It's the dumbest premise because it
sounds like Sky High.
They're held back. Sky High's good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Sky High's good. But yeah, he's got to save them. So Up and Away came out in January of 2000. I'm curious when Sky High came out.
04 is my guess.
Mm-hmm. That wasn't a Disney original, was it?
No, I don't remember it looking at it on the list. I looked at it. I don't remember seeing it because it would have been my top 3 for sure.
But yeah, that's what I'd say. I wasn't a huge fan of the Xenon movies, and about the time that like Xenon and stuff like that was coming out, or like this. I'd say like 2002 is when I stopped really watching them.
Gotcha.
Because after that, I don't remember too many of them. But yeah, so that's our new segment. That is Pick 6. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you got a suggestion for that, just put it, Pick 6, and then put your suggestion behind it so we know what topic it is and what it's going to. Otherwise, you're just going to hear us ramble for 40 minutes about something that you maybe didn't want to hear. But yeah, that's I don't know. You got anything else, Colton?
I don't think so. It was fun. It was easy. I mean, I feel like today's topics, we've rolled through them like that, and I look up and it's been like an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
But these were good topics. I really liked the suggestions. I really liked diving into this new Pick 6. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. There's gonna be a lot of debating, I have a feeling, coming up.
Oh yeah.
Especially with some of the new topics coming up.
Yeah, I'm excited. Make sure to check out all our socials. Follow us on all of them. Drop us a like. Drop us a follow. Head over to Twitch if you want to see us do this live, and follow us there. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.